Hello learners, and welcome to week 13 of U.S. History Foundations to Reconstruction. This week you're doing units 2.9 and 2.10, Birth of a Nation and the Articles of Confederation. The big concepts you're going to be learning about are a new nation and the Articles of Confederation. And here's a little video on the Articles of Confederation. Some people know about the Constitution, but they're really not sure what the Articles were or how they played into the Constitution and how everything went together.
In the U.S., we love our Constitution. But it wasn't always this way. Before the Constitution and government we have today, we had a sort of prototype Constitution called the Articles of Confederation, which created a nation of independent states only loosely linked together by a single Congress. The Founding Fathers intentionally designed a nation with a very weak central government. There is no judicial branch, no executive branch, so there's no president. Which, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. The colonists had just been through a really bad breakup with the British king, and they're not about to get back together with a government who look just like their ex, okay? We've all made that mistake before, okay? You go and date a girl like the last girl you dated, you're gonna get hurt, okay? Don't do this to yourself. The Congress, which was just a single chamber with a delegate from every state, did have some power, like the authority to make treaties and alliances, maintain an army, and coin money. But they couldn't levy the taxes to pay for those things. In fact, under the Articles of Confederation, paying federal taxes was voluntary for the states, who of course were like, no thanks, we're good. The U.S. had borrowed money from European investors and nations to pay for the Revolutionary War, but with no power to tax, the United States couldn't pay back any of those debts, creating a huge economic disaster by 1787. With no funds and limited power, the central government couldn't do much to protect peace at home. This became abundantly clear during Shays' Rebellion in 1786, when farmers in Massachusetts violently protested against the state's high taxes. So if the Articles of Confederation weren't working, why didn't they just make changes to it? Well, it was practically impossible. Amendments to the Articles needed unanimous consent, and the delegates from the 13 states had more opinions than a YouTube comment section. By the way, you should comment on this video right now. Say something nice about it. This weak Congress and a broke, ineffective federal government eventually proved to be too much of a burden on the United States. Because when 13 different state governments held all the power, nothing was getting accomplished. The Founding Fathers found this out the hard way. So they went back to the drawing board, drafting a new and improved Constitution, which is still the law of our land today.
Okay, so that should get you off to a good start on knowing a little bit about the Articles of Confederation and how we ended up with the Constitution. Like it said, they found out the hard way that it wasn't working, and they never really had any intention of, redoing the entire thing. But when they got there, they realized it just wasn't feasible to fix. So in their with them all together, they secretly constructed the Constitution. Okay, so this week we were actually asked to practice some strategies with you guys. We're going to be looking at different strategies, so all of your teachers are kind of taking different strategies over the next couple of weeks in your launches, and you're going to see some in English, some in math, history, all of the different main subjects, and the one that I was assigned is test myself. So we're going to learn some strategies on how you can test yourself before you actually go and take the test. So you will remember more by testing yourself. From flashcards to practice quizzes, testing yourself is one of the most effective ways to study. And I can't stress this enough. My son is currently in 3rd grade, and we do make flashcards for him. And even my son in kindergarten, he has sight words, and we write them on flashcards, and we study them. So it's not a bad thing if you're given some definitions or some things that you're struggling with to make yourself some cards. You can even go into Quizlet, and you can make, virtual cards that way, or you can use, the regular old paper flashcards. But I can't stress this enough that sometimes, you need to have things written down. You're going to remember them more when with you actually writing, as well as being able to look back at the flashcards. Okay, so what is it? There are many ways to test yourself to make your memory stronger. Flashcards, writing summaries, using objective questions, testing yourself while you actually learn. You could cover up the word, and practice problems for math. My son does this all the time. His math book is actually online, so he will go in and do some practice problems before his test. Even though he might have already done that sheet before, he'll redo it and just test himself. So testing yourself shows that testing yourself shows you what you know and what you need to review so you can build your knowledge. And you can make different piles of different things, and we're going to get to that in a little bit here. So making and using your flashcards, here's some ideas. Key terms from content. So you can put how tall is Mount Everest on the front, and then on the back you can put the answer. It could be a vocab word on the front and then the answer on the back. So it's completely up to you, and you can make a know pile. KNOW pile. So once you actually know the term, you can put that in the ones that you're good with, and just keep focusing on the ones that you need to study. Okay, and just keep testing yourself. You can even switch sides. You could, put 8,858 meters above sea level, and then that's Mount Everest. Okay, you can write summaries and different things to help you. You can kind of write it out like this, create some of your own questions, copy some questions from the class. So whatever works for you, will work for me. But it's all about, taking the notes, retesting yourself. It says, what helps us memorize stuff better? The answer, constant retrieval of information from our long-term memory. And the more you go over it, the more you're going to remember it. You can test yourself with math problems, like I said. Go through them step by step, try to figure it out. This is also neat. This is for English class, but it says south of the slot, and there's a bunch of information on there. A good man is hard to find, and that has the different author and stuff as it goes down, the crucible, the author, and then all the information on there. So it's not a bad thing. It's a good little reference. Okay, so when to use it? Most students wait until test time, and it's true. You try to cram that information in, but your memory will be stronger if you test yourself 5 to 7 minutes before taking 5 to 7 times before taking an assessment. So if you're able to go over that information, my son's teacher, science teacher, health teacher, they always give them their study guides per se, or their terms that they need to know about a week to 2 weeks before they actually take the test. And, we try to go over that information with them each day. First, you want to test yourself right after you learn the material. And then, the night that you learn the material, 2 days later, a week later, 2 weeks later, just keep testing yourself. Especially useful when the material you learned is a building block for material you'll use in the future. Okay, so why it works: every time you learn something new, your brain stores the information in your memory, but there's so much information stored there that sometimes it's hard to remember what you need. So that is why you need to do retrieval practice, or quizzing yourself to practice remembering new knowledge. Okay, so test yourself is a strategy that helps both with learning and with studying. So each time you remember something you learned, your brain can create connections to this information, and it becomes stored in your long-term memory, so you can draw it out. So just keep going over it and over it and over it. Some helpful videos. I'm not going to play these for you, but I will put them in a separate link. So you can just click on it and you can watch them. But one talks about flashcards, how to study. So it's a really good thing. Okay, remember just completing your Google Classroom and working in your class, and you guys should be good to go. And on a funny note, I actually remember my code from my locker from when I was in junior high, only because I did it so many times and it was repetitive. 26, 26, 12, 19, literally, stored in the back of my memory, 25 years later. Kind of crazy, but it's those things that, repetitive retrieval type of thing. So any questions or concerns, reach out to me. And if not, you guys have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye.